Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV Whiskey 1 Good Vibrations. I would like to remind you of the existence of my book, Ham and Shortwave Radio for the Electronics Hobbyist. It is an elementary book about ham radio for electronics interested people who might not be hams yet, but want to become hams. It's not a license manual like the ARRL license manual guides. It gets into some theory, but in particular, I'd like to recommend Chapter 6 of that book, published in 2015 by McGraw-Hill, Ham and Shortwave Radio for the Electronics Hobbyist. In Chapter 6 of that book, I relate to you the details of a trip I took to Wyoming in February and March of 2014. It was during the winter time, and you wouldn't expect HF propagation to be any good, but it was. It was extraordinary. And I took some videos of that trip as well, which I made in my old truck, which I called Big Number 8, a Toyota Tundra, lifted to go through the snow and the cold and the ice that you encounter in the winter in Wyoming, not to mention the wind. But there is a playlist also in this channel called Wandering the West, in which I took a number of videos having to do with that trip. Propagation was very, very unusual during that trip. Even 10 meters occasionally was open at night, and the propagation sounded almost like auroral propagation would sound. All kinds of fabulous DX that I could work with various arrangements, and I show them to you in the video playlist Wandering the West, and relate them to you in Chapter 6 of that book, Ham and Shortwave Radio for the Electronics Hobbyist. You don't encounter conditions like that very often, but you sometimes do encounter them. And when you do, it's worth all the time you can get working at it. So read, watch, and especially operate that radio, because you can never have experiences like this without operating your radio. Not watching me, not reading my writing, but operating your radio. Stan Gibilisco, W1GV, saying 73, and so long, which, during that trip, and in all other applications and modes, when I operate ham radio, translates to da-da-da-da-da-da.